Hey guys, it's been a little while since I have posted one of these, and I got a lot of questions on an earlier post of me working with Rocco. I posted some photos when he had his ears back quite a bit, and I just wanted to kind of address that, I guess, a little bit and just show you a video of one of our training sessions together. Now, what I'm doing here is not something I necessarily recommend people do with their own horse. I know him very well. I've been working with him for a long time. We have a long history together working with this stuff on the ground. And I just kind of want to show you, though, the difference between when he's giving me effortful movement, what his face looks like, because a lot of times he looks really angry. And when I'm doing this mounted session here, he obviously doesn't have the ability to run away with me, but he has the option to eat grass. I'm not giving him any cues with my legs at all. I'm trying to keep my hand on the buckle of the reins and kind of close to the front of the saddle. I will lift it up on occasion if I'm concerned that he might actually get a leg through the reins. But the only thing I'm asking him to do, other than me just doing my best to stay balanced in the saddle, is I'm using the target in front of him to ask him to either go forward, which I cue that when I hold it out in front of his nose, and then when I'm asking him to actually target it with his legs is when I pull it back a little bit more and carry it more under his head. So those are the two things that I differentiate with this long target. There's target with your foot or target with your nose, or slash just follow the target and move forward. So you'll kind of notice when he's doing some of the more up and down and big stuff with his legs, that's when I have it kind of underneath his head more. And when he's doing more of the forward motion stuff, I'm holding it out in front of him. And this is a nice long 12-foot fishing pole target that I made. So something that I think is really important to notice when we're a little bit closer to the camera is you'll see that when he's doing the really effortful stuff, his ears almost like flat against his back. And the moment that I click, his face goes to a lot more neutral. You'll notice his ears kind of flop to the side. They might even perk forward a little bit, and his face kind of comes back from this like concentrating face to more relaxed. His ears perked forward there when I offered him the food. And that's the reason that I am comfortable ignoring his angry faces. If he was doing this with me in the saddle and just staying with the fierce face, which is what Kathy Sierra with a Panther Flows called it, I would be concerned that I was using pressure or being more coercive than I wanted to be. But in this mounted session, I'm not doing anything with my seat or leg other than just trying to stay out of his way and stay balanced so that I don't become a part of discomfort or whatever. So, and I did cut out a few little moments in here just because I wanted to keep it under 10 minutes so I could post this. So that's the distinction that I use, and whether or not it's being forced and whether or not his face kind of comes back to a more neutral expression when I, after the click. And so here even, like, you can see I'm holding the target out in front of his nose, just asking him to walk forward. And he's giving me a very kind of boring walk forward. And then I pick up the target and he stops. So that's kind of a normal, how I would normally use the target when I'm just working on forward motion. And then there, you'll see that I brought that target underneath his head and neck. And that's my cue for him to target it with his legs. And typically when I'm asking for some of the more effortful movement. So now that I've got some of that going forward, I'm actually using it. I'm trying to equally do both directions. I obviously favor holding it in my right hand. but I can start to use it to ask him to turn different directions. He had really struggled with lateral movement of any kind, and using this target in this way has been incredibly helpful for him. And again, like, getting these movements from him without coercion really just opens up this big window of movement for him. And it takes it from being like forced work, which none of us enjoy. If someone's making you, when I was little, my parents used to make me carry firewood because we heated our house with the wood stove, and I hated it, and it was the worst thing. But then I would go out and run around with my friends and pretend to be a horse and jump over jumps, and had the best time. And both were similarly effortful, but one was I hated and put me in a bad mood, and the other one was something that I enjoyed so much that it didn't matter how hot it was outside or how much I was sweating or how effortful it was. So that's kind of the difference here when we can figure out ways to get our horses to play. Now, also, if you look at someone who is playing a sport that they love or doing an activity they love, they don't always have a bright smile on their face. They might sometimes, but especially in the beginning when an activity is really effortful, if you think of like a dancer who's learning a new lift or a new move, their face is not going to reflect peaceful happiness all the time. As that move becomes easier and less effortful for them, then, you know, we've all seen dancers who are able to emote with their face the emotions that are coming through with the music and what they're trying to get across to the audience, regardless of what their body is doing. And so that's kind of what I'm working towards. As this becomes less effortful for him, we will see his face become a little bit more relaxed. But what he's doing right here is really hard. It's hard for him when I'm not sitting on his back, but to not only deal with a rider, tack, but also do a lot of this effortful movement, it's challenging for him, and that's why it's so good for him. But the fact that he wants to do it for a few alfalfa pellets that I'm carrying in my pocket is amazing. I don't have the expertise of as a rider to get this from him from the saddle, even if I wanted to do it using pressure and release. And he doesn't really have that full education yet either to do a lot of this stuff. But because I'm able to use this target, and we've done a lot of work with this on the ground, a lot of work. And it used to be he would just follow it and he would maybe reach for it with his foot. So this has come with probably 2 years of working on this pretty consistently, and doing it under saddle just a little bit. So this isn't something that I just went out one day and it happened like this, but because I'm able to give him something to do that he enjoys, which he really, anytime I'm holding a target, he trots right up to me. This is his favorite game, even though he looks grumpy, and he always looks grumpy, even when he's eating grass, he just kind of has one of those faces. But this is a game that he super loves to play, and I can use it in a way to get more and more effortful movement. So there, I did a pretty tight circle to the right, and he gave me some really fantastic lateral movement and lateral range of motion. Going to the left, this is his harder side, and I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to do it. What I'm looking for is that lift and like a little hop to the side, and he gave it to me there, and I got really excited and just ended the session there. So anyway, I hope this answered some questions. Please ask questions if you have them. I'm more than happy to answer questions you have or explain a little bit more about what I'm doing. And I hope I was able to make this clear, but super proud of this horse. We've come such a long way, and doing it this way for him has just been a game changer. So if you do ride with a target, do it at your own risk.